I think if you're in any doubt at all about Russell Brand's character, and I was going to go to bed and I haven't gone to bed. It's extraordinary. I got bewitched by some videos, and one of them was a video from Andrew Gold, and he's played a bit from a lady who does a video called The Vintage Read, and she's reading a piece from My Bookie Wookie, which is Russell Brand's sort of memoir, and she reads a section where she's talking about a dog called Topsy, and Russell was about 7 years old, and he'd been told that the dog wasn't allowed to sleep upstairs by his new um, stepfather. And so he was encouraging the dog upstairs and then kicking the dog downstairs and then going downstairs and cuddling the dog. She explains it rather like a sort of Jekyll and Hyde situation. I'm not sure whether that's what Russell Brand says or whether that's her interpretation. But Andrew Gold is horrified, and I'm not horrified. I'm not just horrified. I'm apoplectic that I could ever have given this ghastly man even the benefit of the doubt. I took the view on Sunday that because I didn't like him, I was going to bend over backwards to see whether or not the allegations that were being made against him were flimsy, and I thought they probably were. I changed my mind this morning when further evidence, when further allegations were made, and particularly when Alice was interviewed on Women's Hour. But I'm afraid if I'd come across this My Bookie Wookie earlier, I wouldn't have had any hesitation. The person who did this, even at the age of 7, was a shit and doesn't deserve television time. Absolutely. And the fact that he thinks this is a funny story to put in his book, that is the point at which he becomes contemptible. I could imagine somebody telling this story about how badly he'd behaved when he was a child. I could imagine that, and then explaining why that was a bad thing to have done and that he'd had a Damascene experience. But that isn't the way it's presented. And it's presented simply as something funny. It's not funny to treat an animal in a... My hair's all over the place. I feel like Larry Grayson now, don't I? Just can't do anything with it. It's not defensible to treat a vulnerable animal that is simply looking for affection so badly. And if you can do that when you're 7 years old, how much worse can you treat people? I think the way you treat an animal is the way you treat a person. An animal can't speak back. We are gifted animals for the duration of their life, and we treat them as well as we possibly can. Some animals, of course, farm animals, have a purpose, and we feed them and we look after them as well as we can. Some animals are wild. We make sure we avoid them so that we don't disturb them. Some animals are our pets, and we care for them because that is our responsibility. And when we take them on the understanding that we're going to look after them until they are old and frail and die. That is the contract that we make. And if we are cruel or unkind to the animals, then we are displaying a level of inhumanity which is contemptible and which must be called out. I don't know what else to add except that I've used this language a few times recently. I think he's a shit. And I think and nobody can now say anything to excuse his behaviour or to suggests to me that anything that comes his way is not deserved. That dog Topsy is in my mind, just as Andrew Sachs is in my mind. But Andrew Sachs has a voice. Andrew Sachs was able to speak for himself. A dog is not able to speak for himself. And whether you're 7 years old or whether you're 70 years old and you treat a dog so appallingly, you deserve censure. If you then go on to write about it as if it's something clever, you deserve to have your book pulped and never to be in the public eye again. It's not clever. He's sending out a signal to other people that this is the right thing to do. It is not the right thing to do. It's contemptible behaviour. He deserves to be excoriated.